Welcome back, viewers. You're watching WION World is One. This is World DNA, the show that gets you ahead of the rest. I'm Shivan Channa.
And I'm Samiksha Srivastava. It's a packed lineup today, tracking the big story from West Asia. After 11 years, Israel has confirmed that it has received the remains of Heather Golden, a soldier who was killed by Hamas in Gaza region in 2014. His body has now been held in Gaza since then, has now been returned to his family.
And while we'll be tracking that story for you closely, we also look at what's happening at the BBC. BBC's Director General and Head of News have resigned. The resignations have come as the British broadcaster is facing criticism over bias in its coverage of several issues. We'll get into the details of that, this and a lot more lined up for you. Let's start with World DNA.
Well, it looks like we're getting very close to the shutdown.
President Donald Trump says the government shutdown may be nearing a resolution as multiple media reports say Democrat and Republican senators have reached a deal to end the deadlock.
The Director General of the BBC resigns following a row over an edited video of US President Trump. BBC's Head of News has also quit as the British broadcaster faces accusations of bias in coverage of several issues.
Ukrainian President Zelensky says he is not afraid of Donald Trump, unlike other Western leaders, and dismisses reports that the last meeting in Washington was volatile.
Israel says the remains it received on Sunday from Hamas were those of Lieutenant Heather Golden, an Israeli officer killed more than a decade ago in 2014. His body was still held in Gaza till now.
Pakistan Parliament's standing committees approved the draft of a bill for 27th constitutional amendment after some changes. The proposals finalized to be submitted before the Senate today.
At least 2 people have died after Super Typhoon Fangwong made landfall in the Philippines. More than 1 million people have been evacuated.
Residents and tourists enjoy as Toronto sees first snowfall of the season. Environment Canada issues warning of difficult winter driving and possible transit delays with more snow expected.
China's October inflation print offers a glimmer. Consumer prices up 0.2%, making it the first positive growth in consumer prices since June, and factory gate deflation easing to 2.1%, suggesting tentative stabilization.
And we begin this edition with a big story that we're tracking from West Asia. Israel, after forensic testing, has confirmed receiving the remains of Heather Golden, a soldier who was killed in Gaza in 2014.
After 11 years, his remains have been returned to Israel. The 23-year-old soldier was killed 2 hours after a ceasefire took effect in 2014's war between Israel and Hamas, Golden's family waged a public campaign for 11 years to bring home his remains. Earlier this year, they marked 4,000 days since his body was taken.
Israel Prime Minister Netanyahu has highlighted the suffering Golden's family has endured, adding how the 11 years' wait united all of Israel.
I know the long wait that united all of Israel. And today we are united in having finally brought him back to his parents and his family to be laid to rest in Israel.
However, Hadar Golden's parents, Leah and Simcha Golden, in an implied criticism of Netanyahu and the political leadership in Israel, said they credit the IDF and no one else for bringing the body of their son home.
I'm not fighting only for Hadar. I'm fighting for the next hostage. I thought about soldiers who would have thought about civilians.
President Donald Trump's son-in-law arrived in Israel for talks with Netanyahu on implementing the U.S. plan to end the Gaza war. This is according to a source who is familiar with the matter, quoted in reports.
Trump announced a 20-point plan in September to end the 2-year-old war in the Palestinian territory, starting with a ceasefire that came into effect on the 10th of October and the handover of hostages held by Hamas in Gaza. The group has released 20 living hostages and the remains of 24 hostages from Gaza since the 10th of October. There are 4 deceased hostages whose remains are still in Gaza. Hamas has called the return of the remains of Golden a sign of progress towards the next stage of the ceasefire.
Talking about the next stages, Israel Defense Minister Israel Katz and a government spokesperson have reiterated that the country does not want Turkish soldiers deployed to Gaza region as part of a multinational forces that is meant to take over from the Israeli Defense Forces.
Meanwhile, a campaign to vaccinate about 40,000 children under the age of 3 began on Sunday. The drive aims to protect against preventable diseases such as measles, polio and meningitis after months of war disrupted routine immunizations.
The vaccination campaign, a catch-up campaign, began today. It's essential for every child who missed vaccinations due to displacement and was unable to receive them. We are administering these vaccines according to the schedule prepared for each child. There was a very high turnout on the first day of the vaccination campaign.
A historic and controversial moment unfolding in Washington. Syria's new president, Ahmad al-Shara, is in the United States.
That's right, Shravan, and that too for a landmark visit days after being removed from the terror lists. He's due to meet President Donald Trump today, getting you those details in this next report.
Syrian President Ahmad al-Shara touched down in Washington on Saturday. The first Syrian head of state to visit the U.S. Capitol in 89 years. A visit that resets years of taboos in Western diplomacy. Ahead of his White House meeting, a video circulated showing al-Shara playing basketball with U.S. military officers. A post by Foreign Minister al-Shaibani captioned, "Work hard, play harder." The video is a symbol, an ex-Al-Qaeda fighter who turned statesman trying to normalize his image on American soil. This trip carries a string of firsts and milestones. Al-Shara seized to power in December last year, after leading a lightning insurgent offensive that ended Bashar al-Assad's reign. Once a senior figure in Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, a militant group designated by US as terrorist organization, al-Shara consolidated power and came to power in January. A swift rise from jihadist commander to head of state. On 24 September, al-Shara made a high-profile appearance on the global stage. He addressed the United Nations General Assembly, the first Syrian leader in decades to do so. a moment seen by supporters as legitimation and by critics as troubling normalization.
I guarantee to bring to justice all those who have the blood of the innocent on their hands.
Recently, the UN Security Council voted to remove sanctions against him and his Interior Minister, preceding this meeting with US President Donald Trump in Washington. Al-Shara is expected to push for a full repeal of the Caesar's sanctions, seeking a permanent lift that would require congressional approval. He will press for financial aid to rebuild a country devastated by 13 years of war. US officials say Syria may formally join the US-led coalition against ISIL, a move that would deepen security cooperation. Al-Shara's visit is both reward and test. A reward for a leader who denounced his nom de guerre, presented a more pragmatic face abroad, and helped defeat Israel's Israel threat. And a test of whether his promises on protecting minorities, holding perpetrators to account, and opening political space will be met or remain rhetoric. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
The Director General of the BBC and its head of news have resigned.
That's right, Shivan. The resignations come as a British broadcaster is facing criticism over bias in its coverage of several issues that include the Gaza war, trans rights, and even Donald Trump.
Now, BBC's Director General Tim Davie and head of news Deborah Turness, they resigned after accusations that a documentary by its flagship Panorama program had edited a speech by Trump in a misleading manner. BBC is set to apologize now for the way that it edited the speech.
In fact, responding to the news, Trump said that corrupt journalists had been exposed, adding these are very dishonest people who try to step on the scales of a presidential election. The White House had recently denounced the broadcaster as a propaganda machine and 100% fake news.
During the documentary broadcast last year, the doctored clip combined two separate parts of Trump's speech from January 6, 2021. It gave the impression that Trump urged his supporters to fight like hell after the Capitol riots, and the part where Trump asked his supporters to protest peacefully and patriotically was omitted. Trump had actually said they would cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women, quote unquote.
Also, the White House press secretary had recently denounced the broadcaster as a propaganda machine and 100% fake news. The BBC had been under mounting pressure after an internal report by former standards advisor was leaked to the Daily Telegraph newspaper.
The leaked memo came from Michael Prescott, who's a former independent external advisor to BBC's editorial standards committee. He left the role in June. He's no longer with the BBC, but apart from the Panorama documentary, Prescott had raised concerns about a lack of action by the BBC to address systemic problems of bias in BBC Arabic's coverage of the Israel-Gaza war.
Also, reports said Prescott raised concerns about the BBC's coverage around trans issues. A parliamentary select committee had set a Monday deadline for the BBC to respond to the claims.
I think that the dossier from Michael Prescott has got some things in it that are right and some things that I think are wrong. But within it, the problem areas, I think, are, first of all, the Trump documentary and the edit, which doesn't seem to be defensible. Secondly, most BBC executives I've talked to over the years think BBC Arabic does need a very close eye kept on it. And whether that's been absolutely at the BBC standard, I think, is in some doubt. Then also, there are wider issues about, did the BBC go too far in a direction of the trans lobby?
The departures of Davie and Turness appear to be an attempt to protect the BBC from further attacks. And Davie, who has led the British Broadcasting Corporation since 2020, said that he decided to leave after reflecting on the very intense personal and professional demands of managing this role over many years in these several times.
What I want to do is, we are going to be publishing in the next...
And the latest on the Russia-Ukraine war, Ukraine is scrambling to repair damage caused by one of the most devastating Russian attacks on its energy infrastructure.
Now, the attack launched by Russia included hundreds of drones and missiles. In his evening address, Volodymyr Zelensky said that repair crews are working almost around the clock in most regions and the restoration efforts are ongoing. He added that though the situation is difficult, thousands of people are involved in stabilizing the system and repairing the damage. He also urged allies for more air defense equipment.
Цими днями в більшості областей фактично цілодобово працюють ремонтні бригади. Енергетики працюють, комунальні служби, всі задіяні. Триває відновлення. І хоч складна ситуація, все ж тисячі людей задіяні, щоб стабілізувати систему та відновити після пошкоджень. Росіяни збільшили удари. Збільшили свою ударну силу, використовують в ударах більше балістики. Це означає для нас потребу у більшій ППО, більших резервах обладнання і більш чіткій та оперативній роботі в регіоні.
The situation was most difficult in the northeastern Kharkiv and Sumy regions as well as central Poltava. Restoration Minister informed that around 100,000 families were left without power, water and heating in the region. In Poltava region, one of the most affected, power was mostly restored on Sunday, but damaged equipment left parts of the city's main regions under the dark.
Ukrainian Energy Minister Svetlana Hrinchuk said that the consequences of the attacks are being determined and normal outages of up to 4 hours a day will be restored once the situation in the energy system stabilizes. Earlier, state power operator Ukrenegro had said that power would be cut for anywhere between 8 and 16 hours a day across most regions of Ukraine.
Amidst the intense strikes on energy grid, Zelensky gave an interview to The Guardian when the power went out not once but twice. In the interview, Zelensky lambasted European allies and said that the EU leaders are afraid of their societies and do not want to be involved in the war, going on to say that it was ultimately their choice over whether they wanted to deploy troops or not.
Zelensky also expressed his apprehension, saying that there was a risk of losing financial and military support from partners if he pushed too hard. When asked if EU and UK were doing enough, Zelensky replied that it's never enough, adding that it be enough when the war ends and enough when Putin understands that he has to stop.
Zelensky also answered about his ties with President Donald Trump, saying that he was not scared of Trump and that Ukraine was friends with America and not an enemy.
He also dismissed the reports suggesting a fallout with Trump during his last meeting in Washington, rejecting the claims that Trump tossed the maps of Russian targets presented by Ukrainian sites.
On the battlefront, Russia continues to maintain an upper hand on the battlefield as it claimed to have captured the settlement of Ryben in Ukraine's Zaporizhia region. The news came a day after Russia said that it took the city of Pokrovsk.
Meanwhile, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said on Sunday that he was ready to meet US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, but that Russia would not abandon its core conditions for ending the Ukraine war.
In another related development, Britain has begun sending experts and equipments to Belgium to help it combat drone sightings causing airport closures. In an interview to the BBC, Richard Knighton, the head of Britain's armed forces, said that it was not known who was behind the drones. However, he noted that Russia had involvement in hybrid warfare in recent years.
And Super Typhoon Fangwong has made landfall in Aurora province of the Philippines, claiming the lives of 2 people.
Super Typhoon Fangwong swept through central and eastern Philippines, bringing heavy rains and strong winds that cut power in large areas of Bicol region. Over 1 million citizens were evacuated ahead of the storm, which crossed northern Luzon with torrential rains, sustained winds of 185 km per hour and gusts up to 230 km per hour.
Schools and government offices in Luzon, including the capital Manila, were closed on Monday due to the typhoon. Nearly 300 flights were cancelled. Government meteorologists warned of heavy rainfall with up to 200 millimeters expected in many parts of the country.
The Philippines Weather Agency has stated that Fung Wong will move northward, remaining a typhoon as it reaches coastal waters on Monday morning, before weakening and heading towards West Taiwan by Thursday.
The Philippines is bracing for the impact of Super Typhoon Fung Wong, its 21st typhoon this year, just weeks after Typhoon Kalmegi claimed 224 lives and left a trail of destruction. Scientists have warned that storms are intensifying due to climate change, which is contributing to more powerful and destructive weather events.
Well, in Argentina, the city of Tandil set a new record for the longest salami stretching, an incredible 487 meters.
Well, this massive creation wowed thousands, celebrating the city's proud tradition. It's their tradition to do this, of world-class salami de Tandil. Take a look at these visuals. Energy and excitement filled Nairobi as the city's dog lovers, they gathered for the Pochella Shaggy Dog Show.
Well, that's right, Shivan. Stylish pups took to the runway in creative costumes, earning cheers from an enthusiastic crowd. Take a look. And for now, we head into a very short break. But coming up after this very short break on World DNA, tracking the big story from Pakistan, the country's parliament standing committees on law and justice have approved the draft of 27th Amendment bills after some changes.
And in a refreshing new discovery, India's space research organization may have confirmed the presence of ice and signs of water on the moon. Big developments coming up after a short break. Stay with us. This is World DNA.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching World DNA with Samiksha. I'm Shivan. Lots more to discuss. Let's start with the headlines.
US senators are voting on a procedural vote to end the government shutdown. The vote comes after Republicans and Democrats reached a bipartisan deal to resume federal funding.
The Director General of the BBC resigns following a row over an edited video of US President Donald Trump. BBC's head of news has also quit as the British broadcaster faces accusations of bias in its coverage.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he is not afraid of Donald Trump, unlike other Western leaders, and dismisses reports that their last meeting in Washington was volatile.
At least 27 inmates found dead by asphyxiation at a prison in Ecuador, where an armed riot had left 4 others dead earlier.
At least 2 people have died after Super Typhoon Fangwong made landfall in the Philippines. More than 1 million people have been evacuated so far.
Pakistan Parliament's standing committees approve the draft of a bill for a 27th constitutional amendment after some changes. The proposal finalized to be submitted before Senate.
New Delhi continues to choke under a thick layer of smog for the 5th consecutive day, with several recording stations nearing severe category while above the severe mark.
US Airlines cancelled over 2,100 flights on Sunday amid the federal shutdown-driven aviation crisis as the Federal Aviation Administration cuts air traffic at 40 major airports. US Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy warns Thanksgiving travel may slow to a trickle.
Our top story this hour coming in from Pakistan. The country is on the brink of a constitutional shake-up. 27th Amendment Bill, one that could redefine the country's power structure.
And it has cleared its first big hurdle. The standing committees on law and justice of both houses of parliament have approved the draft after some changes, and they are now moving it to the Senate. Law Minister Azam Nazir Tarar and Senator Farooq Naik have been authorized to make the changes to some of the clauses, but they haven't shared what exactly those changes are.
The bill was tabled in the Senate on Saturday, just hours after the federal cabinet gave its nod, sparking loud protests from the opposition over the speed and scale of reforms.
The bill restructures Article 243 of the Constitution and creates a powerful new post, Chief of Defence Forces. According to reports, the position will be held by the serving Chief of Army Staff, Asim Munir, who will simultaneously become the constitutionally recognized head of Pakistan's Army, Navy and Air Force.
The development formalizes General Munir's elevation as Pakistan's Field Marshal, a title that the government has already awarded but is now seeking to permanently get it embedded into the constitution.
The bill abolishes the position of Chairman, Joint Chiefs of Staff Committee, the top coordinating office among Pakistan's military services, and from 27th of November, when the tenure of the current post holder Zahir Shamshad Mirza ends. Under the amendment, the President will appoint the Army, Naval and Air Chiefs on the Prime Minister's advice, while the CDF, the new post, which will be constitutionally empowered to command all three services.
Also, a new position, Commander of the National Strategic Command, will oversee Pakistan's nuclear and strategic arsenal. Reports suggest that the commander must be an officer from the army itself, appointed by Prime Minister on the recommendation of the CDF. This further cements the army chief's control over nuclear command authority.
Now, that's not all. The bill also grants lifetime immunities to officers who attain 5-star ranks like Field Marshal, Marshal of the Air Defence and Admiral of the Fleet. The Parliament and not the Prime Minister will have the power to cancel such titles. And Pakistan Railways has halted all operations of the Jafar Express between Quetta and Peshawar.
And for that, it has cited security concerns. The temporary suspension from 9th till the 12th of November follows multiple insurgent attacks on the train in the past year, which includes a major hijack in the month of March that left as many as 26 people killed.
The Jafar Express runs on one of Pakistan's busiest routes, carrying thousands of passengers daily at a cost far lower than road travel. Now, the suspension has been criticized by local commuters, saying it leaves people with very few affordable transport options. Railway officials say the temporary 4-day suspension is a precautionary measure based on advice from security and intelligence agencies to ensure the safety of passengers, railway staff, civilians and critical rail assets that have been bombed time and again.
In the month of October, a blast on the Sindh section of the railway line derailed 5 bogies and injured several passengers, whereas in the month of September, an explosion on the track in Mastung derailed 6 coaches, which left as many as 12 others injured. In the deadly March attack, BLA militants hijacked the train and took around 400 people hostage, which triggered a 2-day standoff in mountainous tunnel. 26 people were killed before security forces rescued more than 350 passengers. Authorities said that 33 militants also died in the rescue operation. Well, Turkish President Erdogan has announced that Turkey's foreign and defense ministers, along with his intel chief, will travel to Pakistan this week.
And they're traveling to revive ceasefire talks with Afghanistan and push for a permanent peace agreement as soon as possible. The announcement comes after Erdogan's meeting in Baku with Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, reinforcing Turkey's role as a continuing mediator.
Ankara has been involved since the beginning, hosting the first round of talks in Istanbul, followed by another in Doha and a third again in Istanbul, where the negotiations finally collapsed.
Now, Pakistan is pointing fingers at the Taliban regime, blaming it for the failure of talks and for a sharp surge in terror attacks over the last 4 years, ever since the Taliban returned to power in Kabul.
Islamabad says it has suffered heavy military and civilian losses but shows restraint, even as Taliban responded with hollow promises and inaction.
The Foreign Ministry declared the TTP and the BLA enemies of the state, warning that anyone harboring or financing them cannot be called a friend of Pakistan. On the failed talks, Pakistan claims the Taliban side backed out of earlier commitments and tried to distract from the core issue of terrorism with unfounded claims and hypothetical allegations. Pakistan says the Taliban only wanted to extend the temporary ceasefire, not build a real peace. But the Taliban is pushing back.
In fact, a spokesperson from Taliban has accused Pakistan of an irresponsible and uncooperative spirit. saying that Pakistan is trying to shift responsibility for its own security onto Afghanistan. Still, he added that the ceasefire will now hold as of time being. As both sides dig in, Turkey is preparing for another round of mediation talks, but after 3 failed attempts and 4 years of escalation.
Now, at least At least 7 people have been killed and over 100 are missing after a boat carrying capsized near the Thailand-Malaysia border.
Well, according to the Malaysian Maritime Agency officials, at least 13 people have been rescued and 7 bodies have been recovered so far. The boat was carrying undocumented migrants who departed from Myanmar, part of a group of at least 300 people that had split between several vessels.
Kedah State Police Chief Ajli Abu Shah said that the boat likely capsized 3 days ago and authorities are searching for 2 other missing vessels carrying around 300 migrants who departed from Myanmar. According to Ajli, the migrants boarded a large vessel that took them close to Malaysian waters, where they were transferred to 3 smaller boats, each carrying about 100 people, in an attempt to evade detection. He also added that they have requested Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency and Marine Police to launch search and rescue operations to find the missing boats.
Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency Director Romli Mustafa has said that cross-border syndicates are now increasingly active in exploiting migrants by making them victims of human trafficking, and that is by using high-risk sea routes. And in news from India, the chief of Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh, Mohan Bhagwat, has addressed criticism about the organization's registration status.
Speaking in Bengaluru, Bhagwat said, I'm quoting here, many things are not registered, even Hindu Dharam is not registered. He then added, if we were not there, whom did they ban? Referring to the 3 times that the RSS was banned. He argued that even governments have recognized them.
Many things are there which are not registered. Even Hindu Dharma is not registered. We were banned thrice. So government has recognized. If we were not there, whom they banned?
The statement came as the RSS chief was speaking in Bengaluru, where the Congress government has been, in fact, in the state of Karnataka, where the Congress has been making it tougher for the Sangh to use public spaces, and Minister Priyank Kharge has been ballistic against what he calls a communal organization. Bhagwat asked, should we have registered RSS with British government as it was established in 1925? And after independence, the government did not make it compulsory to register. On tax status, he even claimed that the Income Tax Department and courts have noted that the RSS is a body of individuals and exempted it from tax.
Now, just a day earlier, also in Bengaluru, Bhagwat said that the RSS aims to organize Hindu society not for power but for the glory of the nation. He declared there is no a Hindu in India and that the core culture of the country is Hindu, calling Sanatan Dharam the Hindu Rashtra. He said its progress is the progress of Bharat.
Also, Mohan Bhagwat added that people from all religions, including Muslims and Christians, can join the organization, but as members of a unified Hindu society, setting aside religious separateness.
Organizing the entire Hindu society. This is our task. We'll finish it, and the organized society will do the rest. We are included in that society, so we'll follow suit. But our mission, our vision is an organized, strong Hindu society.
Giving the lecture on 100 years of the Sangh journey, New Horizons, Bhagwat explained what the RSS aims to achieve, saying the RSS never wanted power or prominence, only to organize society for the glory of Bharat Mata. and he concluded that the RSS wants to organize the whole Hindu society, all 142 crore people, and have started dialogue even with those who don't consider themselves Hindus.
Days have changed.
Well, in some interesting news then, in a refreshing new discovery, India's Space Research Organization may have confirmed the presence of ice and even signs of water on the moon.
And using advanced radar mapping of the lunar poles, scientists have flagged areas that could hold this precious resource, opening up the possibility of sustaining life. And this discovery, it comes from India's Chandrayaan-2 orbiter, India's lunar orbiter in operation since 2019, which has been sending back detailed data on the moon's polar regions, helping scientists identify likely ice and water deposits.
The study can be a breakthrough in reinforcing the long-standing belief that water, in fact, is native to the moon and not brought by external sources like comets or even asteroids.
The finding from ISRO aligns with one of NASA's findings that indicated that water not only exists in the lunar surface but also is distributed across the lunar surface and not limited to cold, shadowed places. ISRO scientists analyzed around 1,400 radar data sets to create detailed, full polarimetric maps of the moon's north and south poles. Their findings aligned with earlier NASA observations, confirming the presence of water molecules in the moon's southern hemisphere.
ISRO largely relied on data captured by dual-frequency synthetic aperture radar on board Chandrayaan-2 that gave detailed radar maps. With this, scientists got a clearer first look at the moon's polar regions, areas critical in understanding the early chemical makeup of our solar system.
The algorithms used to analyze and generate these data products were developed indigenously by ISRO. Scientists believe the lunar polar regions may preserve critical clues about the solar system, planetary formation, and evolution. And the US senators are currently voting on a deal that could end the longest government shutdown in history.
And senators are on the floor for the procedural vote that is taking place. Once this procedural vote passes, the Senate will need to go to the House and to the President's desk. But with the House out of session and in many instances lawmakers out of town, it could take days. The vote was organized after reports said that US senators had reached a partisan deal to resume federal funding and end a shutdown which has stretched to a record 40 days.
And in fact, Samiksha, these are live visuals from the US Senate that we have on the screens for all our viewers. And this is as the US senators are currently voting on a deal that could end the longest government shutdown in history. Outlets including CNN and Fox News, they reported that lawmakers from both Democratic and Republican sides, they have reached a stopgap agreement to fund the government through January. And as news of the breakthrough emerged, Trump told reporters that it looks like we're getting very close to the shutdown ending. And it was a turbulent week on... Let's bring it up to the sports now. Sebastian Ogier has taken the World Rally Championship title race to the final event of the season following his triumph at Rally Japan on Sunday.
Ogier is now just 3 points behind leader Elfyn Evans in the standings, but the weekend was not without drama as dramatic accidents saw Adrien Fourmont retire from the very race.
Fourmont, who had been leading Hyundai's charge in what had already been a tough event for the team, encountered muddy conditions near the end of the Nukata 1 stage. His car veered off the road and down a bank, hitting trees before rejoining the course. The impact tore off the passenger door, and with the crew losing their time card, Fourmont was forced to retire from third position. Thankfully, both driver and co-driver escaped unharmed. The retirement added to Hyundai's woes, as earlier in the day, Thierry Neuville was forced out before the opening stage due to a windscreen wiper failure caused by an electrical issue.
We had a lot of fog coming on the windscreen, so it was more and more difficult to see the road. And after a long straight, I took the brakes, but I did not have any information that there was mud on the left-hand corner, which was a bit blind. And actually, I went wide and on the mud. Then there was some small trees on the outside that we hit, and yeah, it took off the door of Alex. So we've got to retire for that, for safety, but also we've lost the time card. So yeah, it's really a shame.
Hyundai's Oet Tanak also struggled in stage 16, suffering a front right puncture. Despite the setback, the Estonian finished the stage in 4th position. Later, the 2019 world champion announced he would retire from the World Rally Championship at the end of the season. And Ojea kept his dream of a record equaling 9th world title alive, setting up a final showdown with Welshman Elfyn Evans at the season-ending rallies in Saudi Arabia later this month. Finland's Cal Rovanperä is 24 points behind Evans after finishing 6th, still with a mathematical chance of claiming a 3rd world title.
Not necessarily braver, but yeah, clean drive. Condition was better now. First stage, we had quite heavy rain at the start. Massive aquaplaning I couldn't do. I lost a lot at the beginning of the stage, obviously, because of that. So yeah, hopefully we don't get hit too much by this weather and by Mother Nature like it was in Paraguay.
And shifting focus to the world of entertainment then, in a significant boost for the box office, Predator's Badlands has claimed the top spot.
It's roaring to an estimated $80 million worldwide in its debut, and the new entry in the long-running sci-fi franchise shattered expectations with a better-than-expected $40 million domestic opening, matching its international haul of $40 million. This strong performance sets a new franchise record for a global opening, injecting much-needed life into the theatrical market.
Meanwhile, the supernatural horror sequel Black Phone 2 crossed a major global milestone. The film starring Ethan Hawke has surpassed $112 million across the globe. This total is comprised of roughly $66 million from North American theatres and approximately $46 million internationally. Against its relatively modest budget, the sequel is already a clear commercial success for the studio, following in the footsteps of its profitable 2022 predecessor.
The critically acclaimed drama One Battle After Another is slowly creeping towards a key box office figure. The film currently stands at an estimated worldwide total of approximately $197 million, with a domestic gross of around $69 million and an international tally of $127 million. Despite the high critical praise, the film's total is considered an underperformance given its large production budget, making its anticipated climb to the $200 million mark a crucial moment before its upcoming digital release.
We are here to award Stephen Lockjaw with the Medal of Honor.
To understand, we'll
Me and Mom, we used to run around and do some real bad. They got hurt. Now they're coming after us. Sorry.
I didn't ask for this. That's just how the cards were rolled out for me.
And for now, it's a wrap on this edition of World TNA. Lots coming up after we come back.
And of course, before we slip into a short break, here's a look at all the climate stories making headlines across the world. Stay with us. This is WION The World as well.